I'm Dave Scott. I'm on the trail again. We've done a couple of videos here. This is Boulder, Colorado. It's a beautiful day. It was scorching here yesterday. Very similar to what a lot of you may experience in some of your upcoming Ironmans and those of you that are coming to the Kona World Championships. This whole series that we're doing is presented by SFuels, and I want to just talk about a couple of nutritional things in Transition 1 and Transition 2. So let's back up just prior to T1. And I have mentioned this before, and it's fine to repeat it. If you are carbohydrate adapted, you depend on carbohydrates, and you've eaten 2.5 to 3 hours before, you may need a small amount of carbohydrates right before the start of the race, 10 to 15 minutes before. And when I say a little bit, it's not necessarily a gel that has 25 grams of carbohydrate or 100 plus calories. Somewhere between a half to a third of that, and it's just a little bit, or fluid replacement drink, 10 to 15 minutes before. You're out of the swim, you've burned up some calories, you're in T1, and I've watched lots of races and I see a huge mistake. Do not do this. Don't stop at that buffet table in T1. Don't have your super concoction to refuel yourself after the swim. You do not need it. You have a lot of stored calories. We have circulating blood sugar, we have muscle liver glycogen, we have free fatty acids, we eventually break down protein. This body has a lot of stored calories. You do not want to stuff yourself in T1. And I've been pretty steadfast on this in the last 30 years. Get out on the bike, allow your breathing rate to level off, allow your heart rate to level off, and also, lastly, your sweat rate. So under extreme conditions like Kona, you're going to find that as you get out of the swim, you're going to see a little amplitude in that heart rate, breathing rate. You want it to level off, and you don't want to exacerbate or heighten the problem by taking in fluid or calories. Wait 15 to 20 minutes before you introduce probably your fluid replacement drink if you're carbohydrate adapted. I want you to keep in mind, if you're fat adapted, that we have other glucose supporting tissues and sources of fuel that will allow you to get through even 45 minutes to an hour on that bike. So you burn calories on the swim, you're still waiting before you start introducing calories. And I'll go back to carbohydrate adapted athletes. The worst thing that you can do is dump a lot of sugar into your system. I have reminded athletes about this. Once we're at that 20-minute mark on the bike, every 8 to 15 minutes, those are your increments, you're going to be possibly introducing fluid, just water, fluid replacement drink, or whatever you're going to be having to eat. Smaller amounts is better. So in T1, get through T1, you're out on the bike, recognizing that first hour on the bike, either carbohydrate adapted or fat adapted, a lot less calories and less volume on each of those feedings, because then you're going to be oxidizing fats or ketone bodies or fatty acids at a much faster rate, as opposed to dumping in a lot of sugar in big volumes. T2, when you get off the bike and you're coming in on Transition 2, generally your sweat rate goes up. In Kona, there's not a lot of airflow, it's real hot, and all of a sudden you'll see the water pouring out of you. So recognize, for a heavy sweater, that you're going to need fluid. I will say the same thing in T1 and T2. Do not have anything until you get out on the run, and generally the aid stations are going to be 1 kilometer or 1 mile. So you may have to have beverage that you're running out of T2, and you're going to wait. You don't need to wait 15 or 20 minutes, but wait until you allow your sweat rate, your stride length, your easiness of your run to settle in. And that typically takes about 4 to 8 minutes, and then introduce whatever you want to drink. But recognize that your sweat rate's going to go quite high, and then it will actually begin to drop down a little bit once you get into the run. So conditions, sweat rate, profile as far as your intensity, and what you've experienced in your training leading up to your Ironman races are all keys on taking in fluid and calories. Less is better.